Alright. It's the time of the day again, the time of the week again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and blast off. Welcome to the 104th episode of the Korea Podcast. I'm your host, Jack, located here in Ulsan, South Korea, the very southern tip of the South Korean peninsula. Streaming to you live on YouTube, the only podcast that is live, broadcasted live out of South Korea. Today is the 22nd of February. Fantastic day. Finally, spring is finally here. It's warming up slowly. It's good to see those days because I'm getting sick and tired of cold and winter. And although the winters in Ulsan are very moderate compared to what we get back home in Canada or even up in Seoul in the capital, I'm still not a fan of cold weather, which is why I have not been back home in a very, very, very long time. That and the financial strain that takes, taking a family across the big ocean, big lake is not exactly cheap. The Korea Podcast is a podcast that deals with anything and everything to do with living and working in South Korea. We've got guests, we've got interviews. More so than not, we do have updates on news and what's going on in and around South Korea. Today we've got a couple of interesting bits of information that I dug up on the internet, ranging all the way from there's a lot. There's cryptocurrencies, very important stuff. Cryptos, there are news on the academic side front, developments, business in Korea, what's happening, but also the main things that are happening in Korea that are kind of putting a strain on the economy and society and all that stuff. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But to start, I'm going to bring up just wanted to give out a shout out to a local establishment, a local place of higher education, UNIST, Ulsan National Institute of Science Technology. They're making headwinds apparently in Business Korea. Business Korea is listed UNIST, where I used to be employed for a couple of years. So a local university develops innovative electrolyte additive, and basically what that thing does, it's meant to extend the life of an EV battery. Developed an innovative electrolyte additive with which an EV battery can retain more than 80% of its initial capacity even after hundreds of charges and discharges. That's good. I just had my little girl try to use a fan, one of those little handy fans that she was charging the entire day. She turned it on and it basically died after 5 minutes. So it's gonna be good to have batteries that last longer, because after a few charges they just crap out. Have a look at in the chat section. Nobody's here today, but no worries, we're gonna get through everything. An article that was sent to me by a friend, Korea baffled by continued brain drain. That's an interesting phrase I've never really heard about, came across until today. Brain drain. Brain drain is a real thing. If you've never heard the expression, it refers to the idea that this particular article is just checking that I'm live and that the sound is all right. This particular article addresses the brain drain of the IT sector. The decrease in highly educated foreign talent in Korea continues to far outpace the number of their Korean counterparts leaving for advanced countries, fanning concerns that the Asia's fourth largest economy is increasingly being shunned by the competent workforce crucial to bolster national and corporate competitiveness. The brain drain that is pronounced in the science and information technology IT sectors will only accelerate since no immediate improvement is expected concerning administrative inefficiencies defined by time-consuming paperwork compounded by low salaries and poor job security. Basically, I guess people are moving on to greener pastures. Over the past couple of years, even in the education in the ELT or ESL sector, there was a huge number of expats, particularly from the North American side and from England, that have departed. I guess it seems like salaries in China have gone up, and people for the past few years were complaining that the salaries in South Korea have been stagnating, and yeah, although that may seem so, and I guess it does, I mean, the salaries have not increased drastically, and probably not as much as they should have had when you look at the increase in economy, and that's essentially due to the restrictions and restraints and controls that the government is placing here on the education, on the private education institutions, which basically tie the hands of the employers, because for reasons that I explained in the past in one of another podcast some time back. But the numbers that were listed on this article are kind of interesting. Data submitted to Representative Lee Ju-hwan of the People Repower Party from the Korea Trade Investment Promotion Agency, KOTRA, showed there were only 153 foreign talented employees working at large conglomerates. 143? That's it? Small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, state-run or private institutes and universities as of September. This is about a quarter of the 615 in 2016. I wonder what constitutes to be what is it? What's the word? Only foreign talented employees. What constitutes a foreign talented employee? Like, what are we looking at? People with PhDs, people with like special publications, things that they've done. I have no idea. I'm very curious to know what it is, but the number is ridiculously small. Yeah, surprisingly small. Surprisingly small. So yeah, the brains are leaving Korea, and even I guess the article states that the highly educated Koreans are also seeking greener pastures. I assume that it partially has to do with the working environment. There is societal, I guess, hang-ups and expectations that people need to perform and do. And when working in an environment with older colleagues, it's not always very friendly in terms of, you don't have a lot to say. Your say as an employee, I think, is pretty limited. You basically have to obey the rules that are set forth to you, and you don't have a lot of freedom for not self-expression, but freedom to basically for creativity, ingenuity on your own. I think you pretty much have to follow the stick and do what you're told for the most part. And this is kind of what I heard as well from students who have been studying at universities here, especially some of the students that from the universities that I'm familiar with, that working under Korean professors was not a very fun thing. Research assistants are basically cooped up in laboratories for hours and hours at a time, having to do work, of the profs for very little recognition, long working hours, and it's just not a fun environment to be in. And I also heard some horror stories from university students, like MA or PhD students, who basically, it wasn't very enjoyable. Anyway, yes. Are you a crypto trader? Are you? If you are a crypto trader, then this may interest you. This just came out on, this was posted on a Facebook group. and it's listed on Arirang. Apparently, 2020, the current government decided that they want a cut of crypto. So worldwide, I think in Germany and the States, it's already been done. Has been done over the past, I don't know how many years. But there's a tax levy that needs to be paid on trades, and Germany does it as well. I think if you, from what I understand, my friend told me that if you withdraw your trades with under a year and a month, so 13 months, I believe, you have to pay massive taxes. And it seems that Korea is leaning towards something similar. The taxes are not massive. It's only, they're expecting only 20%. South Korea to levy 20% tax on annual cryptocurrency profits exceeding US $2,260 from 2022, which means that those who are trading in cryptos, you got 1 year left in South Korea. You got 1 year left to make it big and cash out if you don't want to if you don't want to pay huge amounts of taxes, or start using crypto the way it's meant to be used, as a value of not store of value, because that's Bitcoin, as a currency, and forget fiat and start buying and selling everything in crypto. Funny thing is, there is a huge dump right now in the cryptocurrency market, man. Bitcoin went from like, I think in Korea was at about 60 something million won. 59,000 went up to, I think, 60,000 US dollars, and when dropped down to 59, I believe it's at right now. I have no idea. I'm not going to pull out any charts because it's going to take too long, but it's about 59,000. Let me see. Yeah, oh shit, Bitcoin is at 53,000 right now. Yeah, so Bitcoin is taking a huge dump. The entire cryptocurrency market is just... I wonder if it's a one-day thing, or if that's the end of the bull run. Who knows? Who knows? But anyway, so here's Arirang for you.
In cryptocurrencies has been a tax-free experience of people in South Korea for a number of years now, but that's going to change in 2022. Investors and traders making over a certain amount in profits from digital assets like Bitcoin or Ethereum will be taxed from next year. Kim Sung-min reports.
Starting next year in South Korea, Bitcoin, the world's biggest cryptocurrency by market capitalization, will no longer be a tax-free hobby or investment. According to the Ministry of Economy and Finance on Monday, income gained from trading Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies will be subject to taxation from January 1st, 2022. Traders and investors will have to pay 20% tax when their annual income from cryptocurrencies exceeds 2.5 million won, or some 2,260 US dollars. Let's say a person made 10 million won by trading or holding Bitcoin. Since up to 2.5 million won is exempt, 20% of the rest, which is 7.5 million won, is subject to taxation. So, that person would have to pay 1.5 million won in tax. In real terms, the tax will be levied on the net income that excludes the acquisition value and the commission fee paid to the cryptocurrency exchange. For virtual assets held prior to 2022, the higher value between the original acquisition price or the market value at the end of this year will be considered the exempted acquisition value. This move comes after the government recognized Bitcoin as a financial asset categorized under other income. Profits will have to be reported on income statements, with taxes to be paid every May. Those who fail to report their profits could be fined. With interest in Bitcoin exploding again in South Korea with the rapid rise in the Bitcoin price, the new tax has angered local cryptocurrency investors. A petition against the new tax posted on the presidential office's website on February 10th has already garnered over 38,000 signatures, and the figure is rising. The Blue House will be required to respond should the petition hit 200,000 signatures by the end of March. Kim Sung-min, Arirang News.
So there you have it. I've got a question here. Text I am channel. Are the profits only taxed if a person trades or sells from their exchange to their bank account? Good question. I believe I don't know, the way my friend told me in Germany, it would seem that it's at the point of sale, but in Korea, I don't know. I have no idea. This is the first time I heard of it. Where did I catch this? I don't even know. It was posted on a Facebook group. So I don't know if there are no more details. It's a good question though. I would assume that the taxes kick in as soon as you cash it out, like if you send it out into your bank account, or I mean, but then it would be difficult. It would be easy to kind of manipulate the market by maybe sending the money to a different bank account, you know, anywhere else. Because I mean, it's crypto. You can send it globally. But I mean, there are still ways around it. You can still do it. You don't have to sell in Korea, right? If you're smart, just get your stuff out of the Korean exchanges, and you can do it any other way. And I guess if you do it that way, then you're still forced to send it through banks, and so banks win in the end because banks cash in. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, so there's still a year to go. Hopefully, the cryptocurrency market, as it is right now, it's not going to stay the way it is. By the way, Ian Channel, yeah. Thanks for stopping by. Viewer from Jeju, is that Jeju podcast? Maybe. Yeah. In any case, hopefully, things will continue. I don't know. The cryptocurrency market is taking a beating right now. It's scary. Scary berry, man. Where are we at here? Let's see. Damn. Yeah. So that's for crypto, yo. COVID. Let's go to COVID because we can't escape from that. So what's happening on the COVID front? Showing press release. Proof of negative PCR test results to be required for all incoming travelers. And you might wonder, what is a PCR test result? For those who don't know, I didn't know, I just checked it out. During the press briefing on January 4th, KDCA explained the COVID-19 control measures that will be taken in light of the continued risk factors in the midst of the third wave of COVID-19 that began in November. Current risk factors related to COVID-19 includes cases with transmission routes under investigation in 27 Yabidi Babada. To facilitate early case detection and timely contact tracing, temporary screening centers have been extended for 2 more weeks and installed in areas outside of the Seoul metropolitan area. So Korea has got these testing centers set out throughout the country, and I guess certain areas where people can basically, it's like a drive-by McDonald's, you know, get your testing center, your testing done, COVID testing done right here. So you can do that in a number of places around the Seoul metropolitan area, and I guess right now they set it up as well. This article, how old is this article? This was put out, January 8th. Okay, January, so it's January. This is old news, man, old news. But, yeah, so what is a PCR test? Here you go. What's the difference between a COVID-19 Rapid and PCR test? And it seems like this is the first time I came across a PCR test being mentioned anywhere in the news. So it's not something that's talked about a lot in the past. I think mostly what was talked about was COVID-19. And whether it was PCR that the media were referring to when they talked about COVID-19 or not is hard to determine because they're kind of wishy-washy. This was in November 9th, so this is from November 9th, 2020. The difference, what is the difference? PCR tests. PCR testing is considered the gold standard in SARS-CoV-2 detection. So SARS-CoV-2, that's the official name for COVID-19, if you didn't know. COVID-19 is a form of SARS, and that's the official name. It's been changed to COVID-19 or Wuhan virus, but this is apparently the official name. This test actually detects RNA or genetic material that is specific to the virus and can detect the virus within days of infection, even those who have no symptoms. The test can be done in a clinic, hospital, or even in your car. Turnaround time is longer, generally in the 2 to 3 day range, but results can be in as little as 24 hours. when demand is high. Results can take a week longer. Where is the explanation? What is the difference? Rapid tests are considered most accurate in a patient who is having symptoms of COVID-19. I think this is important to take into mind. Rapid tests are considered most accurate in a patient who is having symptoms of COVID-19. While the rapid tests can get your results very quickly, the results may not always be accurate. So there are a lot of false positives when doing the COVID-19 tests, not the PCR, but the COVID-19 ones, I guess. What does a false negative or false positive mean? And those who don't have symptoms, the false negative rate, meaning my test is negative but I actually have the disease, can be as high as 50%. This can have tremendous consequences as we try to contain the spread of COVID-19. The false positive rate, meaning I test positive but I do not really have the disease, is quite low. But there is no number on it? Well, that's kind of wishy-washy, isn't it? How can we get a percentage here, but here we just get a quite low? What is quite low? I would like to see a percent. Otherwise, this article and this, again, that's just bullshit that's being pushed on people. So if you test positive from a rapid test, it is more likely you do have the disease. Right, okay. We don't know what the percentage is. It's just quite low. Well, that's vague as heck. Jeez, that's upsetting. All right, moving on. You might wonder, for those who are waiting for the vaccinations and you know, they're not coming yet. Let's see, why are they not coming? Why South Korea still hasn't vaccinated anyone? I found this. It's the diplomat. South Korea delayed start to vaccination is likely due to the government's initial preference for domestic production. This is something I said last week when I was talking about 4 different drugs that are being developed here in South Korea, and I posted on Facebook. Somebody brought my attention to the idea that the drugs are proactive rather than or rather reactive rather than proactive. Vaccines are meant to be reactive. Vaccines are meant to be proactive, meaning that you know, you get a shot, you get a vaccine, and they're supposed to prevent you from getting infected with the disease, any disease. While drugs are meant to cure what's already there. So the drugs that are being developed here in South Korea are meant to be reactive, meaning they react to the disease that's present. Whether that works or not, this was something that was said as, you know, quoted as apparently. So whatever the case, but I did mention that the reason for why Korea is probably delaying the vaccinations is for these 4 drugs that are being developed in South Korea. South Korea has, the article goes on to say, South Korea has earned international plaudits as a model for its success in COVID-19 mitigation, employing systematic approaches for testing, contact tracing, segregation, and quarantine. South Korea has throughout the pandemic managed to keep infection rates very low. Per capita, blah biddy boo. We know Korea was low, then it exploded, and then it got higher and all that stuff. So yeah, that's the reason why. That could be why. There were supposed to be, I think, AstraZeneca coming in sometime March or something like that. They were supposed to be vaccinating people on the 26th of February. I don't know if that's happening or not. Possibly. That's what's being tooted. Just recently I saw a post somewhere on Facebook of the list of all the different vaccines that were coming into South Korea. There was like 8 of them listed. I had no idea that all 8 of them were coming in. As far as I knew, there were only 1 or 2 or 3 that were supposed to come in. All of a sudden I saw a list of like 8 of them, from Pfizer to AstraZeneca to like all the other ones that were developed in China and in Russia, and that never went through the 3rd stage of testing, which is great. Yeah, let's be the bunnies, the experimental bunnies. Business Korea, here we go again. Citibank reportedly considering withdrawing from Korea. So if you are a Citibank user, look into that, man, because you might be losing your bank here. This is from February 22nd. And apparently what Citibank is trying to do is they're trying to focus on big cash management. They don't want to deal with small retail investors, you know, hodlers of the fiat currencies. They're looking to considering them from South Korea, Thailand, the Philippines, and Australia. Reported on February 19th that the U.S. banking giant is studying options for slimming down the firm's sprawling international consumer operations as part of incoming chief's banquet. It said that nothing has yet been decided, adding that the current sales system can be maintained as it is, and even if withdrawal determined. Citibank Korea seems to be focusing on wealth management rather than retail banking. So they want the big bucks. If you've got millions of dollars to dump into a bank account, then they'll gladly take your money. If you get property and all that jazz, then again they will gladly take your money. But if you're just a person wanting a savings account, then go find yourself another bank. So yeah, if you're dealing with Citibank, then that's something to keep in mind. Check it out and see if that affects you in any way. Korea's national debt, man. We're talking about Korea being in trouble. Here it is. Korea's national debt feared to reach 1 trillion won this year. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of zeros after the one. The Ministry of Economy and Finance forecasts that Korea's national debt and its ratio of national debt to gross domestic product (GDP) will stand at 956 trillion won and 47.3% respectively. However, as the ruling party announced that it would allocate more than 20 trillion won to the first supplementary budget bill in 2021, concerns are growing that the national debt could surpass 1 trillion won by the end of 2021. Excuse me. This isn't beer. This is like little boy's beer. If you're a non-drinker like myself, I quit drinking booze a while back. This is my poison. 0-0. As far as I know, this is the only one, the only non-alcoholic beer that actually has no alcohol. Most of the other 0-0s have like 0.05% of alcohol in it. And although you don't really feel that, I guess, it doesn't affect you. If you were to pound like 4 or 5 of these back to back, then I'm sure you will feel something. But these, they're actually quite good. And when it comes to flavor, I would also say the Height Zero. They should pay me for this shit, man. I would say that this is one of the better ones. I've tried like the Zero Cass and some other ones, and they were kind of, I don't know, not my thing. This one's all right. All the taste with no buzz, minus the buzz. Yeah. Oh, geez, I was on the small screen here. Let me show you this again. Yeah, see, big screen. There you go. 0. And plus all the stuff I just said. Moving on, because time is flying. What's next? Major. Yeah, right. Forget North Korea. South Korea's biggest problem is demographic disaster. From children being freaking brutally killed by their step-parents or otherwise. Goddamn sad as that is. Threats to South Korea's survival are not only from the north, even as Seoul seeks detente with its communist neighbor while engaging in an increasingly bitter row with Japan. The nation's demographic decline could see its economic facing a similar structural slowdown that puts a permanent brake on growth. Yeah. A lot more people dying, a lot more people aging, a lot fewer people being born. Seniors aged 65 and older would account for nearly half the population by 2065. That's interesting that, you know, number 65 and 65. I guess they counted on. In any case, because I think the average Korean mom has a child production rate of 0.93, dropping to a record low of 0.93 in 2018. This was lower than Japan's 1.43 and well below the estimated replacement level fertility rate of around 2.1. Basically, it has to be at least 2, right? To maintain the level of man labor. If it's above that, then the population's growing. If it's below that, then we're all doomed. And Korea seems to be on the way to doom nation. But I don't know. I don't know how it all that works. All I know is that all Zeiss knows is that the cryptocurrency market is not doing too great, man, and that's very, very sad. Ian Channel, good question. That is something that I need to research. Maybe the next podcast is going to be all about cryptocurrencies in South Korea, man, because heck, we got to talk about that. That's also Korea related, ain't it? I think it is. Let's see, what are we doing at here? Yeah, right. Dumping. Bitcoin's dumping, everything's dumping. Not good, not good. We'll see. Has the bull run ended? Are the bears finally here? Or is it just a temporary thing? We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, well, it would seem that all the fun times, all good times must come to an end. And it seems to me that our good times have come to an end as well. For today, 32 minutes on the clock. I try to keep it to 30 minutes. Make sure, if you're new to this channel, make sure to smash up the like, subscribe to the channel, like, subscribe, like button, bell button, all. Subscribe, like, bell button, all, and share. Make sure to share. Shock the system with the videos of Living Korea, the only live podcast streamed live here from South Korea, brought for you every Monday religiously at 10 p.m. With guests or without guests, with news and feeds from South Korea. Fun, boring, entertaining, always on time. So make sure to support the channel. It's free. Push the red button and share the love. Make sure to come back on Wednesday and check out another video for Korea 101, the brand new mini-series on the Living Korea channel that teaches you something interesting and potentially new about South Korea in every little video in 1 minute and 1 second. How cool is that, eh? The videos tend to be a little bit longer than 1 minute and 1 second. I try to keep it like that, but now, well, anywho, thank you all for tuning in. And I hope to see you, people and animals of all shapes, colors, and sizes. See you guys sometime next week on another edition of the Living Korea podcast, the Korea podcast, the 105th next week. Alrighty. Have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.